But the big one was I was at CBS pitching a show, and I was waiting, and out of the pitch room where they're making the pitch, out walks Mark Burnett. No, sorry. I'll tell it this way. Out walks Mark Burnett. It was reversed, but it doesn't matter. And we're saying hi, we're talking, and over my shoulder, he's looking as we're talking, and I looked around to see who's there, and it's Simon Cowell. And he's pitching after me. So I have to follow Mark Burnett, and Simon Cowell's after me. Now, the truth is it was reverse. Simon came out of there anyways. And I was so overwhelmed with dread, because even today, I am still as far away as being on the peer level as Mark Burnett and Simon Cowell as I was back then. So I'm just a junior producer. I'm in the middle of them. And I remember Simon just asking me questions about the pitch and how are you? And I'm just like, I can barely hold a conversation because I'm thinking I got to go into this room after that. This sucks. And they invite me and I go in, and normally the meetings are 45 minutes and it's a whole thing and you're just going into it. And I'm like, what is Les Moonves going to want to talk to me about? You know what I mean? It's him and Maynard's in there, and I'm just like, oh God.
I got my hair done next to him once.
Right. And so it's I'm like, they're not going to hear all the crap that I have to say. This is insane. I got all this planned. He doesn't want to hear this from me. And so my agent, Brant, good to see you again. And he's like, what's that? And I was just like, the idea is this. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring these things. Here's why I think it's good for CBS. Here's where I think the budget starts. Here's what we can think. That's it. Bye-bye. And I was out of that room in less than 9 minutes. From the time I walked in to the time I walked out, it was 9 minutes. And my agent was like, oh my God, that pitch was amazing. And I was like, what? I thought he'd be like, don't ever come back here again.
All killer, no filler, buddy.
He's like, hey, you got to do that again.
And now, Escaping the Drift, the show designed to get you from where you are to where you want to be. I'm John Gafford, and I have a knack for getting extraordinary achievers to drop their secrets to help you on a path to greatness. So stop drifting along, escape the drift, and it's time to start right now. Back again for another episode of Like It Says in the Opening, Man, the podcast that gets you from where you are to where you want to go. And today I got a dude in the studio, a friend of mine, that literally has been everywhere. We will get to that in a second. So if your goal is to go everywhere, we're going to talk in depth about that. But he's done so much cool stuff. You ever have that friend that he's just Mr. Cool with all of his jobs? You're like, dude, how much cool stuff can one human do in one life? And this guy's trying to do it all. He has been a television producer for a great part of his career, producing shows that shows that you watch a lot, shows that you've seen. He is the best-selling author, of which I'm terribly jealous, of a book called The 3-Minute Rule. He has a new book coming out, and dude, this is an unbelievable human, and I can't wait for you to meet him because you're going to like him as much as I do. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program. This is Brant Pinvidic.
Oh my God, I got to take you with me for an intro
fired
like
up,
that.
Man?
Oh my God.
I am the Flavor Flav of podcast introductions.
I'm looking at my daughter saying, he's talking about me.
Yeah.
That's your dad.
You know what's funny? If his daughter is in the podcast studio with us, and if she's anything like my daughter, I love to torture her with everything in my being. And I don't know if you're torturable as she is. The other night at my book signing, when we did my opening, every time I signed a book, I made sure to let her know that somebody had asked for my signature in a book.
Yeah, exactly.
And you were going to watch me sign it. I thought she was going to murder me.
The best was we were in Tennessee at Dollywood. And we're in line for the train with my two kids, and she was there, and somebody screams, Brant! And then we're like, oh, who's that? And it was somebody who had just been following me on Instagram, was a fan, and had seen from my story that we were going to Dollywood and came to Dollywood to meet us. And it was the greatest moment. I'm looking at my kids like, yeah, that's right.
That's me.
Dad.
Yeah, suck it up. Well, we're going to talk about so much on the podcast today. We're going to talk about the new book, which is all about money. We're going to talk about the old book. We're going to talk about the TV stuff. But the first thing I want to talk about is probably the thing that gave me more FOMO than anything I've literally ever seen in my entire life, which is you did something with your children that I think should be the envy of every family on earth. Literally. Tell the people what you guys did.
Last year we left on a 1-year tour of the world, and we did 52 countries in 52 weeks.
It was unbelievable. I followed you all around the world on Instagram, watching everything you did. When he says we went, it's not like we went and got an Airbnb and sat in the Airbnb and watched TV. I mean, they did it.
Yeah, it was a mission, right? The mission was to go to the 52 countries, to experience the culture, to go do fun stuff, to compare and contrast. And it became part of our lives living with each other, with my kids and stuff, to be like, what is the goal today? Oh, we're going to do, what's the most fun thing you can do when you're in Paraguay? What's the most fun you can do? We're in Saudi Arabia. What are we doing? Right? Like, how do you, and so that became part of our lives, not just a vacation. And it changed the dynamic of all our relationships and what we did, because it became your everyday mission. And that was what made it possible. Listen, traveling 52 countries in 52 weeks, I would not recommend for someone, just because it's a lot of work. One, it costs a fortune.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. It's a ton of planning. I literally have my credit card framed. It is mangled and fried from like, it's not that it was just so much money. It's just that it was so constant. Like every single week you're chasing around restaurants and like, but the mission side of that, of having a mission to do as a family and going with it and having it that it was fun, like the mission was to go have fun everywhere, was life-changing. Like that was so incredible.
When you talked to the kids at first, when you were pitching this to them, because I know that part of it was you're allowed to take literally what you can carry on your back in one suitcase. That was it.
Yeah. You know, we had done like just at the end of COVID, we had done the United States in a big, huge RV. We'd done all 48 states and we loved it. We traveled every 3 days. It was wild. It was the same thing. We got a taste of doing that adventure mission. And so I realized that as my daughter was finished with high school and my son had come through, he was doing graduating high school. We had this one little moment and I said, hey, you know what? Like we could do one more adventure together before everybody goes their separate ways. Like, you know, it was already at the house. Like, you know, we had a relatively large house with a ton of property and like kids at a certain age stopped using all that stuff.
Yeah.
So like I would be going out back and be like, oh, I have a horseshoe pit. No one's played horseshoes in 6 months. I'd go play by myself because I hated the fact that it wasn't getting used. So I knew it was a time that we could probably do something like this. So I had a whiteboard in my office in the house and my daughter and I were going through all the ideas. Oh, I got to get a big boat and we're going to go on the Great Loop and and I had all these ideas listed to go and let's go backwards around in a different RV. Like, and my son finally came to have the family meeting to decide what maybe our adventure could be. And he was like, I'm not doing any of that. No, I got girlfriends. I got college coming up. I got a summer with all my friends. It's going to be amazing. Yeah. I don't want to go do some stupid thing like go down to Europe. Like, no. But if you want to go around the world and do 52 countries in 52 weeks, like I can't say no to that.
Yeah.
And that was the decision where like, I guess we got to do this.
The multi-level of why it was so cool. Because number one, to be able to be in such close quarters with your kids for that long, you know, if you're listening to this and your kids are little, yeah, you're used to having them stuck to your hip.
Yeah.
But they hit a point in somewhere between when you go from dad to brah, somewhere when that happens, they just kind of stay in their rooms and talk on their phones. And that's what you get. And to be that close with them for that long was unbelievable. But number two, probably you gave them the greatest gift you can ever give. And one of my favorite things that's ever been muttered in this particular studio was my friend Chris Connell once said, I've never met a well-traveled racist. And I thought that was such a great comment, not just about racism, but just really learning how the rest of the world operates and, you know, giving you a great appreciation for what we have in this particular country.
Yeah.
Did you see a change in your kids? I know she's sitting right here. Yeah. She could probably chime in, but did you see a change in your children over that time?
Yeah, like definitively.
Yeah.
And particularly with my son who, you know, when we went around the country, he was much younger, right? And so when we went this time, you could see them come out of their shells and they meet people, they tell stories, people ask them questions, and they learn about how people in all of these countries are so overwhelmingly similar. Like it was stunning. And how everything that you think you believe about the way other countries and the world works comes from a box, either your phone or the computer or the TV, and somebody is filtering that information to you. And then when you go and you find yourself in Saudi Arabia on Christmas Day and you're like, there are no other white people anywhere near us on Christmas. Saudi Arabia, not a big Christmas destination for Christians, right? And so you do that and you realize like, this is not what we expected. Little things like that where you're like, we use the term the Middle East. And that'd be like someone saying the Americas to describe Argentina and Canada.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's called the Americas. You're the Americas. And so you could see the kids, their eyes, like just taking all this in and understanding and the freedom that they felt to go and experience it so much of the world does not have petty crime or crime in general as part of their day-to-day existence, which we found shocking. Like, so much of our trip for so long was like, there's not a thought of, there's no crime in South Korea. There's no crime in Japan. Like, these places in Norway and Denmark and like a lot of the African places we went to, you're just like, you're in Kigali, Rwanda. It's the most beautiful, clean, organized, amazing place. And you're like, I had no idea.
Is that the places, would you say that's the place that surprised you the most?
For sure. Without question, Kigali, Rwanda is like, it's like, we call this Singapore of Africa kind of thing. Like, they have come from literally the depths of despair in one of the worst genocides you've ever seen and heard of, rubble in the streets of their city. 25 years later, it is beautiful and modern and perfectly clean and still very African, like women with things on their heads walking along with barefoot. You're just like, but it's beautiful. It's the culture is just like, wow. Like, it's shocking.
What was the one thing that you guys did that you would just say, if you literally can go anywhere in the world and do this one thing, this is the thing?
You have to go see the gorillas in Rwanda.
That's the thing.
We're going again in January. Like, it's magical. It's a magical experience. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about you is you're always calling me, trying to drag me on these trips. I
wanted you to come on this African one.
But I would have.
I know.
But like we talked about, I will be in Cape Town staging to land on the ice in Antarctica.
Yeah, Africa had most of those like epic things that are hard to describe, and so. But I would say there's a couple other ones that people wouldn't necessarily like know right away. I would say Norway, Oslo, Norway in the summer is like euphoria. It is like the classic spring break Daytona Beach euphoric feeling, but with adults, right?
Okay.
Like with normal adults. Because in Norway, you have to remember, like, it's dark all the time in the summer, it's cold, and they're a very wealthy country. And so when summertime hits, it's just like everybody's out in the sunshine. They're so happy. They have built the most beautiful waterfront I've ever seen in my life. And so many people are just out there on the dock.
You were just randomly swim. You would go swimming.
Yes.
I remember this.
Yes.
At the end of like a pier.
Just out at the end of the pier. It was magic. Like, I'm talking magic. That was one of those things you're like, whoa, I got to go. Like, that is one thing everybody should experience.
All right, well, let's back up, dude. Because let's talk about your early life. Let's talk a little bit about that. You're Canadian, yes?
Yeah,
that's right.
Still.
So, which is why you can stand the cold water. I'm Floridian. No way I'm getting that water in Oslo, Norway. Not a chance. What do you think about your upbringing gave you this hunger for adventure
Listen, I think at the end of the day, it's a combination of a few things. One is my dad did not wake up every day trying to make me happy. Okay. Like, I know how you are with your kids. My daughter knows how I am with her. Like, it is my only goal in life every day is how can I make my kids' lives better today? Right. And there's a lot of great things about that. There's a lot of downside about that. Right. So I had to create my own hunger to go achieve, to go develop, to go build things for myself. I was very, very focused on trying to find success in Canada. Canada is not built for entrepreneurs. It is not built for the mentality of go make something, go try something different. That is not the way the culture is. And the culture is palatable there. And I beat my head against the wall for 27 years in Canada unsuccessfully and sort of mildly mocked for my goofy ideas, right? I come to Los Angeles on kind of a whim as a last ditch effort. I live in my parents' basement with my 2-year-old son at the time, out of money. My dad's like, get a job, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I hit Hollywood. I have an idea. I have a project. I meet people. They're like, oh my God, how did you do that on your own? And, and it's like, they saw potential. They love potential here. They value potential. They're like, come join us. Do stuff with us. We like this kind of thing. And it was like,
what was the idea? What was the first one?
It was called Life of the Party. It was sort of like a party animal fun thing where you traveled around and it, it's NBC bought it and they loved how much work I had done. At a time when...
So wait, you sold your first idea?
Yeah. Yeah, I went and made it myself in Canada with my own money and raised money from friends, and all this stuff, which is a stupid idea.
You had a finished product.
I had an almost finished product.
Okay.
This is what the life-changing moment is that I couldn't afford to edit the show that I had created because I didn't know anything about television. It was a stupid idea. Shouldn't have done that. But I couldn't afford to edit it. I just thought that when I explained it to people, they would give me money so I could edit and put it on the air. Canadian television is like, no, we don't do that, idiot. Like I buy Friends for $70,000 an episode. Why would I pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for your stupid idea?
Right.
I didn't know that before. You should figure these things out before, right? Anyways, so
that's a lesson, kids. Make sure there's a market for your product before you build it.
My story, I say this all the time. My story is not a treasure map. Like you cannot follow the map here. It's a highlight reel.
Minefield.
Yeah. So, but there's something about finding your place and finding your people. And Los Angeles and the United States, I always wanted to be part of. And when I got here, it was like, oh my God, this is where I'm meant to be. And I remember it specifically. I'm driving down the 405. It is Christmas time. I had been in the country for 7 months, got this fancy, cool job and stuff. And I'm driving in my convertible Sebring that I had bought when I got there. And I got a BlackBerry from the job.
Oh yeah. Well, now we know what year this all is.
Exactly. And it's 22 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm sending, hey, because, Hollywood shuts down early for Christmas. Everybody goes away. And I'm sending messages to people saying, hey man, have a great Christmas break. I'll see you when you get back. Really cool meeting you, that kind of stuff. And I realized, oh my God, like I have more friends and interested people that care about me that I care about in 7 months in the United States than in almost 30 years in Canada. And I fell in love with being successful. Not so much the TV industry. Like people thought that I was so great at the TV industry. The TV industry just gave me my first taste of actual verifiable success. And I was addicted to that. And that's why I dedicated my life at the time to being exceptional at producing and developing TV, at pitching ideas. And so,
well, give them the litany of the shows that you've done. Give them the laundry list of stuff that they probably watch. I think
Bar Rescue is probably the big one that I get the most now. It used to be The Biggest Loser. Now it's probably Bar Rescue is like, that's the one people talk to about the most, or Extreme Makeover was a big one. My Cat from Hell, people talk about,
Did you speak? Well, let's talk about Biggest Loser for a minute before we get to Bar Rescue. Did you, on Biggest Loser, did you watch the documentary that they just had on Netflix? Yeah. Were you in that documentary?
No. I didn't have very much to do with The Biggest Loser. Okay. Like I ran the company that was connected to the company. It was already sold. It's one of those beautiful situations where it's like I was involved enough where I can put it on
line item credit. Yeah, but you're not handing people diet pills.
Oh my God, no. And if you talk to the guys who actually run Biggest Loser, they'd be like, Brant told you he's gonna be like, that guy did nothing, right?
Yeah.
That's the fun of Hollywood. Like every success has many, many fathers, and like. I've been introduced so many times in this world where it's just like, I'm like, the creator of Amazing Race. I'm like, I used to be like, sorry, thinks I'm making an emergency call. I don't do like, I didn't create that. I wasn't the executive producer. I was only this person. Like, and now I'm like, oh, whatever. Yes, I was the host of American Idol.
That was me.
Sure. That was me. I mean? Like nobody cares, but. Biggest Loser was a big hit. Everybody loves that show. I talk about that all the time. It's great. But Bar Rescue was like that was like one of my jams, like John Taffer and I, like it was like one of the best meetings when we're pitching that, and like it was cool because.
Did you have the idea for the show and then found him or?
No. First of all, the idea for the show, not what you would call super original, like Gordon Ramsay kind of already doing that on the air.
Sure.
But I saw John Taffer. And I was like, ooh, like, is this Gordon Ramsay for bars and nightclubs? Like, maybe.
This be the guy.
But I didn't know. Like, I would tell people, and now that I'm so far away from it, I don't care anymore. But I will tell people, like, I like John, but I didn't know if he was going to be a TV star. Like, I see this every day. Like, I could not say that's a star. I just said, like, that's pretty good. He looks like, and it's an industry I haven't seen yet. Maybe I could pitch it. So when we talked to Spike, it was Spike TV at the time. It was a little bit of a flyer. And they fell in love with him. So then I'm like, well, I told you he was amazing, like I liked him, but I just didn't know. But now I'll take total credit for the process of it.
It's so funny when the entertainment choices were few and far between. I know I'm not even going back to 3-channel days with the click or whatever it was when you had to get up and push the buttons on the little box on top of your TV. But I think that there was even you look at the science that went into trying to figure out how to pick a winner.
Yeah.
And now you look at the internet with all of the, YouTube and Instagram and stuff. And dude, every day I probably look at something and shake my head and I go, how is this person the person that's blowing up? Yeah. And then I see other people that I'm like, how is this person not blowing up?
it's so, and here's the thing, Bar Rescue is a perfect example. I went to set on Bar Rescue a few times. I had nothing to do with the day-to-day production. That's not my job. My job is to create and sell and pitch and oversee and develop. And like, that's what I do. And so you're talking about an ecosystem of hundreds of people that go through this process, and every single thing has to work, because I have sold shows that didn't work that were far better conceptual ideas, original and no one had ever done before and so fun and interesting that never went anywhere, right? And a show like Bar Rescue, which is, again, it was a remake of a sort of Kitchen Nightmares, just instead of a restaurant, it's a bar and nightclub. So the origination of the idea is not overly impressive. It just happened, John just sparked and just was like, we love that guy. So it's like, is that, I didn't discover John. I didn't make the show day to day. So it's like, so what did I have to do for the success? I went in the room, I pitched it, I orchestrated, I shepherded it. Like, how valuable is that in the marketplace? I don't know. But without that, that show's not in the air.
Yeah.
But without the guy, without DJ Nuri and without all those guys that are in, JD Roth and Todd Nelson, without all these guys and John himself on the day-to-day, does any of that happen? The truth is, all of it needs to happen. And you have thousands and thousands of TV shows going out there, and they all have thousands of working parts. And if a few of them don't fire at the exact right time, it turns to nothing. And that's life, that's business. Why are you what you are? Why am I what I am today? Is like a few things work out really well, but you've got all the other momentum going at the same time, and you can capitalize on those moments.
See, just sitting here talking to you, I'm going to change my opinion on something. I would have thought the creative would have been your superpower, but I think the pitch is your superpower.
Yeah, the pitch is my superpower.
What makes a good pitch?
I think, well, the good pitch,
anything, what makes a good pitch?
The simplicity, for sure. Like in the 3-minute rule, everything about your business, product, or service must be conveyed clearly, concisely, and accurately in 3 minutes or less. And there's science behind that, like that, why the human brain structures decision making. And you can't get somebody to stop thinking yes or no in their mind for longer than 3 minutes if you do it really well. And so the structure is built on brevity, simplicity, and understanding that as human beings, we make decisions in 3 very distinct pieces, right? First, we conceptualize, then we contextualize, then we actualize. Conceptualize, I have to understand what it is I am looking at or talking about.
Yeah.
And anybody at home, how many times has somebody come pitching you something or wanting you to do something? You're like, whoa, can you just explain what this is and what, like how this works? Like, you have to understand the concept. Then once you do that, then you contextualize, meaning like, okay, how does this relate to me? What do they want from me? How am I going to be involved? What will this mean for me? And then we decide, okay, here's how I want to do it. This is what I want to wear today. Yes, we should go to war. Like whatever those huge decisions or small decisions, it's the same process, 3 steps. And so I was very good at structuring that. And the irony was, it came sort of out of fear and a little bit of experience. You know, like I was raising money to do this TV show thing, and I've been in people's living rooms trying to raise money to get $5,000 or I wouldn't eat, right? You let somebody know that that's how desperate you are for them to invest, you will not be catching a single penny.
No.
So you develop an ability to explain things without being, overpowering. But the big one was I was at CBS pitching a show, and I was waiting, and out of the pitch room where they're making the pitch, out walks Mark Burnett. No, sorry. I'll tell it this way. Out walks Mark Burnett. It was reversed, but it doesn't matter. And we're saying hi, we're talking, and over my shoulder, he's looking as we're talking, and I looked around to see who's there, and it's Simon Cowell. And he's pitching after me. So I have to follow Mark Burnett, and Simon Cowell's after me. Now, the truth is it was reversed. Simon came out of there anyways. And I was so overwhelmed with dread, because even today, I am still as far away as being on the peer level as Mark Burnett and Simon Cowell as I was back then. So I'm just a junior producer. I'm in the middle of them. And I remember Simon just asking me questions about the pitch and how are you? And I'm just like, I can barely hold a conversation because I'm thinking like, I got to go into this room after that. This sucks. And they invite me and I go in, and normally the meetings are like 45 minutes and it's a whole thing. And you're just going into it. And I'm like, what is Les Moonves going to want to talk to me about? You know what I mean? It's him and Maynard's in there. And I'm just like, oh God.
I got my hair done next to him once.
Right. And so it's like, I'm like, they're not going to hear all the crap that I have to say. Like, this is insane. I got all this planned. He doesn't want to hear this from me. And so my agent, hey, Brant, good to see you again. And he's like, what's that? And I was just like, the idea is this. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring these things. Here's why I think it's good for CBS. Here's where I think the budget starts. Here's what we can think. That's it. Bye-bye. And I was out of that room in less than 9 minutes. From the time I walked in to the time I walked out, it was 9 minutes. And my agent was like, oh my God, that pitch was amazing. And I was like, what? I thought he'd be like, don't ever come back here again.
All killer, no filler, buddy.
He's like, hey, you got to do that again. So I did the same thing at NBC and the same thing at ABC. We got 3 offers on the show. And I was just like, wow. And he's just like, you got to do that. And I was like, what? He's like, so I just started doing that. I'd walk in and be like, here's the idea. Here's exactly how we're going to execute it. Here's why I think it's good for you. And it's a good idea. Here's the way we can produce it. Gotta go.
See, I think it's so funny that you, in this, with all of his great accolades, you're like, I'm not in the same breath as these dudes, right? I saw something this morning, and I write a newsletter that comes out every Wednesday, the Wednesday week.
I read it.
If you haven't subscribed to it. So I write down my little anecdotes of what I think. And I saw something this morning that'll probably be coming out next couple of weeks, where this person that I don't even think I follow him. I just saw this video, and she was talking about meeting a person that I have talked to 50 times, right? This is a person that I know very well as an entrepreneur. And to me, he's just this guy. I'm not even gonna say who it is because it's not important. But this person was like, I went to a mastermind meeting and this person was speaking and I just decided we were gonna be friends. So I started DMing him, what can I do to help you? And I started doing this to try to help them with stuff, blah, 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 blah. And at the end of it, then I had an event and this person came to me and said, oh, do you need a speaker? I'll come. And I had the one and only, and then said this person's name. And I got to thinking to myself, man, I didn't get it because I'm like, this is a person that I just know, and I just know them as this person. And it's fine, and we're friends, and it's cool, but I don't think of them like that. But to this person, they were the one and only. And I got me to be thinking in those moments when I have imposter syndrome or I feel like I don't necessarily belong, I'm probably somebody's one and only.
Yes. Oh,
everybody is somebody's one and only.
Everybody has this important, and this happened to me one time when I was in early in my career. I was down with a music producer named David Foster, who is one of my greatest.
Yeah, of course.
He's like a mentor of mine. He helped me come to the United States. We were at dinner and Farrah Fawcett walked in at the dinner and he waved her over and they said hi. And she knew who he was now and said hi. And he said, when I first moved here, I met you at this thing. And you had been like a movie star to me. And I was so impressed and you were so kind to me. And I never forgot that. And I can't believe that now it's been 29 years or 31 years. And I finally get to see you at this random restaurant. And she was like, oh my God, I didn't know idea we'd ever met before and all this other stuff. And she left and he was saying to me, he's like, isn't that crazy that someone that's a non-issue in their life could be so impactful for me, right? And I remember when I had first moved down and the agents that I had got for this stupid show and they had chopped it around. And there was a moment where we were pitching it to various networks on my 3rd or 4th day in the United States. And the president of NBC had called the agent and I was in the parking lot at ABC. And he had called and said, I don't know who that kid is or where he came from, but whatever he did to that show, I need him to do on my shows for us at NBC. So I want to make him an offer. Will he come and work for us to do this stuff? And Lance Klein, my agent, goes, it's Jeff Gassman, ABC. He wants you to come work for him and do this. And I'm like, yes. Oh my God.
We'll consider it.
And he says, sorry, Jeff, that's not going to happen. He's going to go with the show. We're getting a lot of heat on it. Right. And my brain is melting. And so Gavin's like, no, we'll take the show too. We'll do that as well. Right. And so I got on the phone with Jeff and he had just said all these amazing things. And he's like, I've never seen anybody put this kind of work into a TV show and ability to explain it so clearly. And I want you to come do this, on and on, right? And those agents went and leveraged that. They talked to other people and they're like, hey, that kid you met from Canada? NBC wants him. And everybody's like, oh my God, who the hell are you talking about? But we want him too, right? It's just the way the world worked at the time. Anyways, I got a different job. I didn't do the NBC thing. I sold the show to NBC, but I didn't do the work job. I got a different work run. And I was like, Jeff Gassman changed my life. If that call didn't come in and they weren't able to do that, I never would have been the same.
Just that level of belief.
And and 4 years after, almost to the day, I had got a job as the head of programming for TLC. So this big, huge job, right? That I was like, I can't believe I got this job. And I finally felt at a level where I could be like, I'm going to tell Jeff Gaspin about how important he is.
Oh, I love that.
And so I wrote him a letter, and he's still the chairman of NBC at the time. And I wrote him this letter, and I just said, you will have no idea this meeting even happened, but this changed my life. I have never forgotten about this thing. I remember it. I tell the story. And I thought I should tell you the story about how important he was. Dude, he called me. He's in tears. He could not believe that he had that kind of impact. And it was hard for me to understand that because to me, he's Jeff Gaspin.
Yeah.
And as you grow and become more successful in life and whatever, and you still have those people, and you forget how many people down there where you were are looking at you being like, you're my Jeff Gaspin, or whoever that is, right? And that's like, it's shocking to me to see that. And I get that quite a bit. And it's just like, oh man, whatever I can do to help, you know?
It affects me on a visceral level when I get stuff. When I get notes from people, or I get cards, especially notes, handwritten cards like that
notes
are just.
I had another experience just like 2 days ago where a guy that I was talking to was telling me his partner Todd, he works on this stuff, and I'll connect you to him and you guys can do that. He connected us on a group text, you know, and his number, because I just met him, is just a number. And then on my phone, it says, Todd, brackets, Dave Meltzer. And I was like, I met this guy. Like, oh, I think that's the guy who used to work for Todd. Oh,
I know Todd from
yes,
the Dave Meltzer.
okay.
I know. I think I have my phone the same way. I know Todd that used to work with Dave Meltzer.
And so he's like, oh my God, Brant. So we get on the phone and I'm just saying, oh yeah, I remember you used to work there. I love
funny,
it.
yeah.
How are you? What's going on? It's been 5 years, right?
Look, I almost bet I have him in my phone the same way.
And so we're talking on the phone, going through this, and he just says, hey man, I want you to know something. Like, what you said to me changed my life. And I was like, oh, what? And he's like, if you didn't have those conversations with me, if you didn't inspire me, if you didn't say these things to me, I never would have been ready to move to the next level and take on this new gig and be partners in this new thing. And I was like, oh my God. And like, I don't want to say that I don't remember, because he might be listening, but I don't remember the details of what I had told him.
No.
And he's like, but you were so giving. And I was just like, oh yeah.
You know, you shake so many hands and you do so many events and you speak and you do these things. And I never forget when I'm in those moments with people, especially at events, right? Like I used to, when I first started doing them, part of it was, should I be up here doing this anyway? You know, should I be the one talking? And then it was always this moment when I get off stage, like I always want to shuffle out very quickly. Because I just something about it.
Yeah.
Being upstage, being on stage and then coming off, it was like, I just want to be, I'm depleted. I want to be by myself. And then, Steve Sims, my good buddy, watching him at events and how he doing events with him and watching how he managed himself. And Steve was an incredible introvert. People don't know that. Like you never know it by seeing him.
He had to flip the switch. Right?
But watching him manage himself was really amazing. And it was like, listen, they're not just hiring you to come talk on the stage.
Yeah.
They're hiring you to give. And it was like, and with him, it was always like, I'll do dinners beforehand, whatever, the night before, if you want a VIP dinner, I'm there, whatever I can do. So yeah, changing that, because you just never know that 2-second conversation you can have off the stage, a lot of cases is way more impactful than the 45 minutes you had on the stage. Yeah.
And it's been interesting to see that transition for everybody. Like as they go, the book did pretty well. So that's nice. And I get a lot of inflow from that. And it's like, I like hearing that. And it's good because my daughter's here, she'll be on the phone, she'll hear people. And it's just like, it's nice to have impact in the world in that way. And I found that the traveling and, like you followed on Instagram, like I spend quite a bit of time and energy on my Instagram stories to talk to actual people, because I know how much engaged they are in that process.
Yeah.
And I find that now I'm what I call an experienced philanthropist, is that I believe that I get the most joy sharing my experiences with people. That's why I do the trips and I take people on these adventures. And like, I do stuff that I've already done a bunch of times that if I was by myself, I wouldn't go do again. Like I've done it enough, but seeing other people and sharing those experiences, I get a tremendous amount of joy. It's like taking your kids to Disneyland, right? Like you do that because you want to see them enjoy it. I find that with my friends, I'm in that same mode, and social media allowed me to do that for that travel and to like show people elements that I'm going through or the things that I've found, to share those experiences. I find that I get a lot of the same sort of like feelings that I get if I donate stuff to people and I donate money. I find that's even better sometimes, is that sharing the experiences like really drives me.
Yeah. I was on a podcast yesterday and I was asked by the host who has been to this event. I throw one party a year in my house. That's it. One. We throw a Mardi Gras party that is over the top. And he goes, "Can I ask a question? What's the deal with the Mardi Gras party?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, me and we love New Orleans so much. We're there so much. And, I'm a member of the oldest night parading Mardi Gras crew in New Orleans. My wife rides on a parade that's on Saturday before Shove Tuesday. And we take as many people as we can to Jazz Fest and to Mardi Gras, just New Orleans as we can. And I just love that city so much. And I want people to experience as much as what they can to do that. So yeah, I think giving back that experience of things that you love to people is such a joy.
Yeah. And I think that sort of drives me. And I made the decision. I made the decision early because I grew up kind of poor, in that sort of situation. Holy crap. And it's just like, we didn't do much. We didn't have much. Like, it was the most average middle-class experience in life. And I remember so much of my life being like, God, if I could just make $2,000 a month, I'd be happy with that for the rest of my life. And it's sad that number keeps growing, obviously, right? Like, we all go through that. And so I remember when I finally got to America and, financially things changed dramatically, and it was an interesting process. And I had made one big decision to go back to a situation that wasn't right for me, but it was for the check. It wrote me it was life-changing money. And so I went back and I wasn't happy about it, but I did it. I remember like, oh man. And it's different when you're chasing it, when the check's over there, your brain rationalize what you're willing to do to get it.
Yeah.
But after you get it and it goes into your bank and it's your money, now all of a sudden you're like, wait, what? I agreed to what? Like, the emotion, it's like, I make the joke about tattoos, it's like a permanent reminder of a temporary feeling. And like, that's the same thing doing something for money. It is intoxicating when you're trying to go get the money. Once you already have it, you're like left with what you have to perform, right? And so I remember thinking like, okay, I'm not doing this again. Like, I'm not doing it again. And I was in the lobby of MTV, and one of my absolute mentors, one of the greatest producers of all time in my business, who had sold his company for hundreds of millions of dollars, was in the lobby. And I was like, oh my God, what are you doing here? Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
And he was waiting for someone to pitch the show to. And the person he was waiting for was like a level down from the person that I was meeting, just because that's sometimes the way it works, right? Like, who's available when you want to pitch it, whatever. And I was thinking to myself, and I said, like, what are you doing pitching them? Like, what? You sold, why aren't you? And he said to me, he's like, I don't have anything else to do. Like, this is what I do. I don't know. And it hurt my soul. And I thought, oh my God, this is going to be me. Like, I will do this. I'm not spending the money that I make right now. Like, I don't need this, right? And so I started to make a conscious decision to be like, I am not going to do that. And it coincided with this, I'm on the 405 and a guy drive by with jet skis on the back of his truck, And I'm like, oh my God, I love jet skiing. When was the last time I went jet skiing?
Yeah.
Like, years and years. And I was like, that's it. I'm going jet skiing. And I rented 8 jet skis and I sent an email out to 35, 40 people. And I'm like, oh man, I hope people want to go jet skiing. And I got like 30 of them were like, yeah, I want to go. And one of the network presidents had emailed me and said, oh, I can't go this weekend. I would love to do this. Let me know when you're going again. And I was like, oh, well, I got such a response. I'm going next weekend. Can you do next weekend? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, yes. And I realized like, hey man, I can share experiences. I can do whatever I want this way. And it built this process of like, I shifted from focus on making a career and building it to how can I be as good at doing that as I am when I'm going and doing adventures.
Well, I think that for everybody I know that's a high level successful entrepreneur, there's a shift that happens at some point where you go from chasing the dollars to maximizing time.
Yeah.
Was there anything that happened particularly in you that, because obviously you've made that shift. If you took a year off to go to your family, was there anything in particular that happened where you were like, whoa, I got to start really paying attention?
Yeah. So one of my buddies is a big hedge fund guy, and one of the coolest guys I know and love him. And he has a house in the Hollywood Hills up on the hill, looks into Jennifer Aniston's best backyard. And like, it was the first time I went to see it. And at the time I didn't know him very well and we were doing business. So when I first saw the house, I was like, I tried to keep my emotions to myself. I don't want to be like, oh my God, what a house, right? So I was kind of cool. And I played it cool. We met a couple more times. I was cool. And then eventually I was like, okay, I know him well enough. And I was like, dude, Greg, you gotta show me this house. What the hell? He's like, oh yeah, come on. I'll give you a tour. So he gave me a tour and we walk into this bedroom that is the most spectacular view and the waterfall and the band. And I'm just like, oh my God, it's the greatest thing you've ever seen. And I am beaming with excitement. And I look over to Greg and I'm just, oh my God. And he goes, yeah, and he's like, he kind of gives me like, yeah, it's kind of cool, And I was just like, oh man, I can't believe like he doesn't wake up every day. Because when you're in that situation, you picture yourself. I could see myself sleeping better in this guy's room. Yeah. Like it's the greatest thing ever. Cut to barely a week and a half later, these young business guys from somewhere in the interior of the country had been following me and asking me questions, and they were in LA for the first time and they were doing interviews for their little podcast and they were begging me to come on. And I was like, every time I thought I might be able to meet them at this podcast studio, I was like, nah, I got other shit. I can't do it. So they finally convinced me to let them, they were going to come to my house and film at my house for this podcast thing. And I was like, fine, you guys can come to the house. So they come to the house and they're like, holy crap, like, what is this? And I was like, oh yeah. They're like, come on, I'll give you a tour. So, and I had horses at the time in the back. And so I'm showing this and they were just like, oh my God. Yeah. Could you imagine? And I did this exact thing. Like I just kind of waved it up and was like, yeah, it's kind of cool. And it was a chilling realization that I had just done what Greg had done. And I realized like, if Greg can't be the way I was at his $20 million house, because that's how I thought I would be every day if I had a $20 million house. And I can't do that at my $2 million house. And these guys don't do that at their 200,000. Like, how will I ever do that? And that was, I made such a conscious decision to do that. And, listen, it's a trade-off. It's definitely a trade-off. There's no question.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of my friends are in a group called Tiger 21. Very wealthy people, great people, amazing. You have to have 30 million liquid investable to join. I don't mind telling people, I do mind telling people, but I tell people I don't qualify.
Yeah.
And like, that's because of decisions I have made is I've spent like, I'm definitely farther from qualifying now after the year around the world, but I have many of their members who are friends of mine that are so enamored with my life.
Oh my God.
Because they don't do that. And I'm looking at them being like, what are you talking about? You don't do this. You could hire someone, God damn, you could probably hire me with the kind of money you have to just do stuff with you this way. Like, and so that mentality to be able to break away from that and to make the trade, like, again, it's a trade. You have to be willing to do that. And it's not always easy because we're used to chasing as much money as you can.
Just more. Just more.
And so, like, again, like I can't get these guys go and have meetings. Dude, my buddy, I'm sorry about my Tiger meeting tonight. I'm like,
I agree. I love the hustle culture. I love what's happened over the last 5-6 years. I think Gary Vee birthed this culture that I love. And I love seeing people go get it and get what's theirs. But I have fallen into this in my life too, where I don't take a moment to sit with my wins, to celebrate my successes, and to really, really be happy there, because you're always chasing the next thing. You're chasing more, chasing this, chasing that. And if you don't take that second to appreciate what you've got, what you've accomplished, then what are you doing it for anyway?
Yeah.
And I understand that there's, for me, I teach people, you got to fall in love with the process of whatever you're doing. You can't fall in love with the end result, because if you fall short, if you blow past it, you got to be loving what you're doing. And you don't want to trade, like you said, you don't want to sell your soul for a check. You don't want to do that. But I agree. I think so many people lack the ability to have absolute clarity about what really it is that will make them happy.
Yeah. And I think,
and it doesn't have to be dollars.
No. And I've had, the imposter syndrome is very hard to get over, right? Like, it's tough. Everybody goes through that. And I do that sometimes on a personal level, because there's a couple of guys that I consider very close friends that I'm like, I don't know why the guy likes me this much. Like in the circles that he runs and the people that he knows, it's like, I can't get
I'll tell you why. Want me to tell you why?
Yes.
Dude, you have okay, I'm going to tell you why.
Okay. I'm going
to pump you up better than I did when we first started this thing. The innate, true, authentic wanting to see your friends win is a rarity in men.
Yeah.
It's a rarity. And you, no matter when somebody that you like and that you know is doing something, you get behind it in a way. Like, dude, you didn't have to get behind what I was doing. What you did was so over and above what I even asked you to do in my small way of trying to help me sell books. And you did it in a joyous manner where you were genuinely interested. And even after you did that, you called me and you were like, hey, how's it going? How are we doing?
Yeah.
I want to know where the numbers are. What are we doing? And you were genuinely interested in my success for zero self-serving purpose. And especially when you start playing at bigger levels, most of the people that are around you, and this is going to suck to hear, but it's unfortunately true, a large percentage of them want to see you fail.
It's stunning.
Because your failure reminds them, in certain cases, why it's okay they didn't try in the first place, or that you're still an equal peer to them. Because people's biggest fear in your circle is you're going to outgrow them.
Yeah.
And dude, you just don't even care. You're going to cheer for people at every level.
Yeah.
And it emanates from you in such a positive way.
It's the delusional optimism.
No, but that's why people want you around. There's zero jealousy if a guy has 100 million or a guy is coming up trying to figure it out. There's just, for you just want to see people do well.
And I think
it's the Canadian in you.
It's the
Canadian in you.
Well, I appreciate that, brother. And you're a good dude. And I think what I'm getting to understand a little bit is there is a peer group that we believe as men is only hierarchy by success and monetary success and material elements, right? And everybody wants to be in their peer group and they want to be in the peer group above them. And that's natural for our process. What I'm starting to get okay understanding is that excellence is the peer group you want to be in. People who are excellent at something. And I think about this, the richest people in the world want to be around artists or, athletes, regardless of financial status, because they're amazing and they're exceptional, right? Mm-hmm. And like Oprah's really great about this because it's like nobody's on her financial level for the most part, but she appreciates excellence in anything and anybody. Mm-hmm. And you want to surround yourself with people. And what I've noticed is that I'm not at the excellence level that my partner Greg is at. You know what I mean? Like from a financial standpoint, we could never run at the same levels, right? But when it comes to living life and passion and relationships and adventure and trying new things and energy and all of these things, I'm the Greg in that relationship, right? And he's learning and he's striving and trying to get better. And that's hard for someone like me to be like, oh, like I have as much to offer in this relationship, even though the people he knows and the circles he runs with are so advanced, they're advanced in one dimension. And so it's helped me to balance a little bit of that where it's like, it's okay. And I needed that because you get to a certain point where you're like, I trade on the idea that I've traded my income potential to have more fun and enjoyment. But there's a piece of me that says like, oh, good, because you probably wouldn't have made it anyway.
No,
you know what I mean? Your brain's like, this way I don't have to try to make $100 million because I probably wouldn't have been able to do it anyway.
But how many people on their deathbed are going, if I just had one more dollar?
I know.
No, dude, you're going to go sliding in sideways with no tread left on the tires.
Oh my God.
That's going to be
and that's been part of it. Like that is where I'm at and I love it and I'm excited and it drives me. I tell people and I teach this as well. It's like you have to get the 3 P's in your life organized. It's prosperity, passion, and purpose, right? And like it's hard to do anything if you don't have some sort of prosperous element in your life. Financially it's just a factor.
Yeah, if you're worried about money, there's nothing else.
It sucks. It sucks. That's all there is to it. And it's been so long since I've had those feelings that even but on the trip was a slightly painful but good reminder, because it was the first time I was like, man, like, how much is this costing? And it was like, whoa, I don't like that feeling. Like, I do not like worrying about that, wondering about that. And it was like,
I haven't looked down the right side of the menu in a while.
And it's like, whoa. And it was good to be like a little bit of snap to reality, right?
Yeah.
And so, you have to focus on that. You have to be prosperous in a way that you feel like you've got that side of it, right? And then passion, you really do need to balance, like, what do you love to do? And are you using your prosperity tokens, the tokens that you make in your work world, are you spending them on joy? Like, that really is what life is about. The only reason you go to work and work your ass off is to be able to build things that you can enjoy. And we make calculated decisions on how much we're willing to work really hard so that we can enjoy later. And unfortunately, a lot of people blow past the exit and they're like, wait, I got so many tokens, I got nowhere to spend them, right? Mm-hmm. So when you find what you're passionate about, you want to be able to do that as much as you can to bring joy into your life and joy into the others. That's the passion. And then once you have the ability to do that and you've learned to do that, it's like, okay, what is your purpose? Like, what drives you? What's your mission? What's the legacy in all different ways that makes the most sense for you? And like, as I'm trying to fill that out in life, it's like, I'm closer now than I've ever been. And it's like, I want other people to understand that process as well. It's like, purpose really helps.
What's your purpose right now?
My purpose right now is knowledge philosophy. I'm a knowledge philanthropist. That is my main thing in life. Is I have a 501c3 that we're launching, and it is basically the entire thing of successful entrepreneurs giving back to the entrepreneurial community by sharing their wisdom and their knowledge and their experiences for free for people that want it. And so we do these summits where we bring companies in. You get 4 of the members of my group, and we just try to help your business. Costs nothing for the companies, and my members pay their own way there. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you have to be at a point in your life where you are prepared and you value giving what you've learned to others for nothing in return other than the joy of seeing them prosper. And I think that what we believe in deeply is that entrepreneurs and business owners are the most important factor in our entire society. And they don't get anything. Nobody gives them anything. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you're a business owner or an entrepreneur, you have to provide to get anything. Provide me your business, provide me your service, provide me your time, provide me risk capital, provide me a loan, like whatever it is, you have to give something to get these things back.
Of course.
And I just want to forward that more, which is the knowledge of how to run a business and how to do things at a high level should never go away because you've retired or that you sold your business.
Well,
and that is like my biggest passion.
I love that you talked about that, because we're in a world where it's changing rapidly. I mean, jobs, careers, things that people thought were safe are going to be automated and moving around, and people are going to be forced to kind of pick a new lane. And you did that at a very high level. When we talked, you touched briefly on it earlier when you said, I wanted to take the skills that I learned in television and translate them to another career.
Yeah.
Talk about the emotional decision and the preparation to walk away from one industry where you had done so well and dive into something else. Talk about that.
That's something that people if we're being dead honest here, it's so easy to talk about and to tell people how to do it. It's a little harder to do it yourself, right? Like it was an interesting time because I already knew I was done with television and entertainment. Like I stopped loving the process because I had already reached a level of success that was kind of a ceiling in the business. I had done well financially. I had made shows that people had heard of, but the days of having an American Idol hit or even a Biggest Loser hit were gone.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so maybe I'll do 4 shows this year. Maybe I'll do 6.
Just
maybe
killed by 3. Like the internet as well.
Yeah, it wasn't even. It was just the process of the evolution of the business, right? Yeah. Like the big, giant, earth-shattering, everybody in the country watches hits that just didn't exist anymore, right? And so it was like, it was making widgets is what the business turned into. And so I was signing deals and always looking for the bigger deal. And it was all about the dollars, which was fine. It's just that it's like, I didn't love the process because my success had petered into a normal world, right? And I was definitely feeling like I am not the best at this as I used to be. And I remember one of my very good friends offered me a huge deal to come to his company. And I had to call him and say, listen, honestly, David, like, you won't get what you think. Like, I can't take this deal with you. Because he was offended I said no and signed with someone else. I was like, you won't get the best. You're not going to get the Brant you think you're getting. Like, I'm like a quarterback that hurt his shoulder in preseason and didn't tell anybody, you know?
Yeah.
And so
that's a great analogy.
You know, like that was my world. And so the funny part is it was Tony Robbins, who I became pretty friendly with when we did a show together. And you know, I worked with him on stuff, and he got me. Tony's very good at getting you excited, right? Like, that's his vibe. Like,
kind of his job.
Gets you, like,
just kind of his thing.
I can do anything in the world.
I'm going to walk on fire,
happen.
which I have at UPW.
Right?
So
I've done it too.
Yeah,
so and then I made the mistake of telling him that I didn't want to do TV anymore. And he's just like, oh, guess what? It's Tony time. And, you know, and so I just decided I wanted to write this book. I had been working with companies sort of by accident and having really good success. And, you know, the story I tell on stage is that one of the first guys I worked with, I had no idea what to do. It was an oil and gas company. I watched his pitch for the company. It's a $2 billion company. It's a microcap company. And it was the worst thing I'd ever seen. And I was like, what the hell was that? It's like, you're drilling for oil at $32 a barrel. Everybody's laying their rigs down at 37. And it took you 17 minutes to say that? Like, what the hell? And he's like, oh, can you help me rebuild this whole pitch? And I was like, I don't even know anything about this, but sure, come out to LA, I'll work with you. And so he did. And I rebuilt his pitch just like I would a TV show. What do I know?
Yeah.
And he called me and he left this message on my phone and voicemail. And you could hear him the emotion in his voice. He was cracking up and he was saying, you've changed my life.
The one and only.
I will never forget what you've done for me. I used to hate going on the road, raising money. Now I love it. We filled our first round. I'm so excited. Like, thank you so much. And I remember thinking like, oh my God, no network president has ever said anything like this to me before. In fact, the very first note that we ever got on Bar Rescue, the first thing that came back from the network on the first pilot, the first cut, the only words that came back in the email was, this is the worst piece of shit I've ever seen. Do you even know how to make television? Right? That's the world. And that's the world I come from. And so, you know, like, I'm one chromosome away from being a caveman. So when someone tells me, Brant, you're pretty, Brant, you're amazing, Brant's like, oh,
you're running right to that.
Brant loves that. And you get more of that.
Speaking his
right?
language, yeah.
So once I had that a couple of times, I was like, this is what I want to do. But I was too scared. And then you get Tony telling you can do anything. And so the next thing you know, you're like, I think I'm going to do this. And the truth is like, I had written the book proposal. I didn't even tell my agent. You know, William Morris is a pretty good book lit department.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to tell my agent because I didn't want him to be like picking up the phone and be like, oh, my reality TV crew producing client wants to write a book. Like, I just didn't want to do that. I didn't want anybody to know. You know, I had a completely different agent out of the entertainment business. I got a very large book deal offer. And I was like, oh my God, like, I think I'm going to make the leap. And so once I started that process and I realized like, I love doing this. I don't love doing this. I'm doing it for the money. And Tony said to me, he's like, oh my God, you talk like a poor person is what he said to me. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, the words you use, the phrases you use, the way your monthly, this month, it's like, that's how poor people talk. Like, I don't talk like that. My friends don't talk. We don't talk like that. He's like, and he made me get my net worth together and talk to him through it. Right. And he put it in a different perspective. And I was like, God, you're right. Like, I guess I could take this risk. And he's like, yeah, you'll be fine.
You're doing it.
Go ahead. And the irony is I don't tell the story very often, but I do love you, is that I had an offer to renew my deal and they wanted me to stay another 3 years. And basically I told Tony, like, you're right. I'm going to totally tell them to pound sand and go away. Right. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do it because it's a lot of money.
Yeah, sure.
And it's like, so I went back to him and say 2 years. And then even that, I was like, what am I going to say to Tony Robbins? Like, you know, I'm holding on to a friendship with him by the thinnest of thread. Obviously, he's Tony Robbins.
And you're about to be an asshole.
And I'm about to be an asshole. So I was like, oh no, what am I going to do?
Yeah, hey, Tony, what should I do? Do this. Right? I'm going to do the opposite. Yeah. Asshole.
And so they were, we were going back and forth negotiating. So I'm engaging. And my concern is like, they're going to settle in the middle. As everybody knows, that's usually what happens, right? And so I'm picturing, okay, settling in the middle is going to be this. And like, what am I going to say? No? Like, ugh. And I had been a little bit more aggressive than I would have normally been if it wasn't for the Tony influence. Sure. But I was like, I kind of know how this is going. So I was like, oh, so I'm making up excuses in my head, trying to come up with lies. And then I'm thinking like, well, could I ask the company not to announce the new deal so that maybe Tony doesn't find out? Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then the head of the company calls me and he says, hey, listen, I think we're too far apart. And I don't think either of us are going to be happy. And as much as it sucks, but I think maybe we should go our separate ways.
That's the universe right there, my friend.
And I was like, and so I did feel like a weight was lifted. And then I got a little excited because I called Tony. I hope he doesn't listen to this.
Yep. You're like, turn it down. Told him to bounce.
It's exactly right. And I said, Tony, they offered me like 10 times.
Yeah, and just so you know, Tony calls me personally for a copy of this before it goes out so we can listen to every single episode individually and absorb them.
And I said, oh man, I told him, no, you know what? They doubled the offer, Tony, but you know what? You're right. And so the universe made the decision. I didn't have to find out if I was a real pussy or if I would have done it. And that was the decision. Move into the book thing. And I got a really good launch date and the publisher was super happy and all that went great. But I still feel like I tricked the publisher, right? Like they're in New York, they're a publisher. They're not equipped to have someone like me come into the room and pitch an idea for a book. That's not really the way it happens.
Yeah.
So I felt like I tricked them, right? That's what I felt like. Cause it's like, I overpowered them in the room. They're not at my level in that room. Like I do that for a living.
This is your superpower. We just talked about it.
And so it wasn't until I got and they were Bob Iger's book or Brant's book was getting a date and there was a back and forth and people who didn't even know me, like in Penguin were like, yeah, this is great. And I was like, oh my God, like maybe the book's reasonably good, right? I didn't fool everybody. And I went to there's an important party in our business every year around this event. At my friend Steve Michael's house, the best party of the year. Everybody goes there. You know where you are in the peer group effectively if you get invited. And you go there because it's the first time we get to see each other in a non-competitive, non-combative atmosphere. You see all the producers and it kind of who's in that mode, right? And everybody's trying to get in there. And so year after year, there's always younger people, their first time. And you're like, who are these people? And so I went there to that year after I'd already sort of been out. I didn't sign my new deal. And I remember I'm like, I'm done with this party. It's good. And I start saying goodbye to people. Hey, I'm leaving. Oh, hey, it's good to see you again.
And I realized this is it.
Oh my God. Like I'm saying goodbye, like saying goodbye.
Yeah, you won't see me again.
Bye-bye. And I remember being at the valet line. I was the only one there because it was a little early. And I am so giddy and gleeful. And the valet guys, what's going on with you? And I'm like, I'm never coming to this again.
Yeah, I don't have to play the game anymore.
I'm never, and it's just like, it was such a dream. It was so joyous. And I had a joyous 6 months between the book release and when I knew television was over for me. And I don't have to ask somebody for something that I don't have to pretend to be friends with people.
Dude, it's so people don't realize sometimes how unhappy they are in the game they're playing when they're playing it. Until the second you step out of it, you're like, what was that?
And as you know,
doing that.
It wasn't until I went to have to promote the book that I was like, oh God, I'm back into this again.
Yeah.
Hey, can I have a favor? Oh, hey, is there, and that sucks so bad. And it was like, I don't want to be responsible to people anymore. I don't want to ask for favors. I want genuine relationships where I don't owe them. And it was like, in the book proposal, I had said a lot of how great I am and my great connections. And it's like, I didn't lie to them, but, and I said in the book proposal, I was like, these are the people you can see that I'm related to. Like I have credits with all these people. I know these people personally. These are my sort of like, effectively, these are people in my cell phone. And I said in the book proposal, obviously I can't get all these people, but I have a better chance than most of the people in your universe.
There you go.
True statement.
Yeah.
And one of the ones they were on me about, and the publisher's pretty good about it, but they were like, hey man, we need you to promote this book. Like, get out there. And one of the big ones was Whoopi Goldberg. They were like, hey, you know her, you work with her, she's a friend of yours, get out there, get on The View. You got to do it. And they would, did you call her? When did you find out? And the publicists call me back and I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
And so I had to call her and I had to ask. And you have to understand, like, Whoopi Goldberg and I are not peers, right? We work together, very friendly. I adore her. We had a great relationship, but I would not say I'm going to her house for dinner.
Yeah.
I don't like text her.
You're
out
not
of
going
the
to play
blue
board
to be like,
games.
what's up with this? Like, we're not like that.
You're not memeing each
right?
other.
Like, I say we're friends. She would say, I like him. I know him. She would not be like, oh, that's one of my friends. I don't think. All right. Anyways. So I call her. She gets on the phone. It's a lovely conversation. My entire existence with her, I have never asked her for a single thing. Our relationship is mutually based on work and enjoyment, and we like each other. And I have done very well in my career to make sure that those are the relationships I have. And I had to say, hey man, I got this new book coming out and I'd really love to get on The View. Like, is there any way you can make that happen?
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah. Right? And like, I knew what she was going to say. And she was like,
she was gracious, I'm sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
She's like, oh man, I'd totally love to do that for you, but we don't do like lifestyle programming anymore. We only do basically political stuff. It's our whole new world. So it's like, it's not really my thing, but like, I love you or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't super awkward. She gets asked all the time. If you asked her about the same thing, I'm assuming she would say like, it's totally cool. I love him. Let him, of course you can ask me, right?
Yeah.
Except for our relationship is different. It's not physically different, but it's different to me.
Yeah. Because
now I'm that guy. And like, I watched you. I know what it's like. You're going to promote a book. You got to ask people, hey, could I send you a bit? Like, it's so draining,
it's soul
right?
crushing.
And that's when people ask me like, hey, are you doing another book? It's like, if I can get out of my book deal, I will.
Yeah. How I digested it was like, it's the mission of the book and waking people up is so important to me that I'm willing to hat and hand it to people that, I wouldn't. And, and a lot of people that got those boxes were incredibly supportive and did help me tremendously, you in particular. But there were people that, didn't do anything. And there was no reminder message. There was no, hey, what do you think? Yeah. None of that. It was like, I just chose to be very grateful for the people that chose to support and understanding for the ones that didn't. Like just, you get a pass. No big deal. I did not let it affect my view of those relationships at all because you can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
And by the way, and for me, and maybe it's only me, maybe other people don't mind, but like the greatest time emotionally I have is one of my buddies, C Rocky, asked me the other day, he's like, what can I do for you? Like, this is awesome. Thanks for the help. Like, what can I do for you in your life right now?
You said Mikey C Rock? Yeah. All right. I know Mikey's been on that couch.
Yeah, I love the guy. And so I'm like, the greatest thing is I can be like, I don't have anything right now. Even when I was coming through Vegas talking, I was like, I don't really have anything to promote right now. Like, I don't need to sell any more books. I don't make any money on the books. It doesn't matter. Like,
buy a book though. It's a good book.
It's a great book. Buy a book. Send me there. I'll send you a free copy. That is not my part of my world anymore.
Yeah.
I don't take on new clients really anymore. Like, it's like,
but you do have a new thing that we got to talk about.
But that the sort of core of that is like, I'm giving that. Like, that is not the same process that you and I went through in a book thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't have anything that you can do right at the moment. And I love that. It's like, it's joy. It's a joyous moment where it's like, I don't have anything. Now, does that cost me stuff? Probably. Is there things I could be doing bigger, better, and more profound and make more money and all these things? Probably.
You just traveled around the world with your children for 52 weeks.
Yeah, for an entire year.
I mean, dude, I don't know anybody wealthier at life than that. I don't know anybody.
Fair enough.
Not anybody do I know that's wealthier at life.
It was wild.
Let's talk about the new thing a little bit real quick because you did a seminar yesterday. I sent a bunch of our people from our wealth. We have a wealth circle here at Simply Vegas where we teach, because obviously with real estate, especially agents get so caught up in the commissions. But to me, the commissions are the rocket fuel to power the engine. The engine is actually getting wealthy from owning real estate. So we're very, very, we teach that a lot around here.
So I was with my partner, Oren Klaff, who wrote the book, Pitch Anything, basically the definitive, most successful book on pitching any business for raising money. That is his core competency. He's the best in the world at it. And I worked with Oren many times, and we've had co-clients on lots of stuff because, he does the sort of the financial and the deal structure when a company's going to look for money, right? He builds, and that's the hard work, the detailed. I come in when it's story and, presentation.
Positioning.
Yeah. And like, I know how to tell the story, but like, I don't do financial at the level he does, right? So we've had really complementary services and we worked really well together. And we do this thing called it's called the game of money, which is basically how the financial capital markets really work when it comes to either investing money in companies or companies looking for investors. And I think people are shocked at how those two entities are desperate for each other. Companies, I mean, I have a lot of inflow on this kind of stuff. People send me stuff every day. They're all looking for investment, raising money. And there's so much money out there desperate to deploy capital. And like I was telling you earlier, I got hired to do a big consulting gig with one of the largest private equity firms and investment banks to train, we're talking hundreds of analysts on how to pitch and present their company to business owners to take money. And their biggest concern, their sort of existential crisis is we can't deploy enough capital. We have lots of assets under management, but if you don't deploy them, people take them away.
Yeah.
And so they're desperate to give money away. And so people are like, what? How is that possible? And it's like, well, because there's a structure involved in that. And the professionals look at companies and deals in a very structured way. It'd be like asking a casino to put a game on their casino floor that you had made up yourself. And they'd be like, okay, but what are the odds? How frequently are the dice going to roll? How many people can play at once? The number of things they ask when you're like, oh, but this is such a fun game to play.
Yeah.
And people will gamble on it. And you're like, but a casino has well, how much floor space does it take? And how many dealers do I need? And what's the cost per minute? And the actuaries have to look at it and be like, well, here's our projections and does it fit? And you don't even know that. And that's why you're wondering, why does no one invest in my company? It's because you don't know the metrics. You don't know how the game of money is really played. The game of money played is by insiders who have cheat codes and they know how to structure it, right? And that's why it's easier to raise 50 million or 500 million than it is to raise 500,000 or 5 million. Because if you have a company that's raising that kind of money, you have all of the structure.
Yeah.
And like I said to you and too many people listening, have you ever invested $25,000 or $250,000 or more in something that you thought was an incredible company?
Yeah, we both left. We got a stack of those deals.
You love the people. You think the product can't miss.
How did Cauliflower Foods fail? How?
Right? And it goes away. This is what I say.
Great management team. How did Cauliflower Foods fail?
That is not playing the investment game. That is playing the part-time amateur venture capitalist. And that is not a strategy and that is not a job. There's no job for part-time amateur brain surgeon. There's no job for part-time amateur bomb squad technician, right? Those don't exist.
Well, like I said, all three of those jobs would in the same way.
That's exactly right.
and it ain't good.
So we kind of pull the curtain back on the structure, what it looks like, and why you as an investor are not getting the royal flush 5-card poker hand deals coming your way. There's a reason, because there's an industry out there that sources them, that analyzes them and funds them before you even hear about them.
Yeah. Everything is upstream.
Everything is so far upstream. And it's you can't expect that. And it's hard for people to understand that when you are looking at investing in a deal, it's the same thing as buying toothpaste from Walmart. You are the end consumer, right?
But it's not just about education. You and Oren are actually starting a fund.
Yeah, so the fund
that's going to get you upstream.
And Oren already,
that's the goal.
Yeah, and Oren did the fund. He started it. He does all the heavy lifting. I swoop in for the glory, which is great. He started
just
this
get
fund.
Your producer line item credits. Exactly. All you need.
And he did such a good job raising this fund. $40 million he put into this huge factory in Texas that they funded themselves. No private money, no institutions. No debt to build a $70 million total investment in this factory. And it's up and running right now. It's incredible. And it's a community. And I was so impressed by it. And I've watched them from the very beginning. And the interesting side of it is in a fund, anybody who's ever asked you, or any hedge fund or any private equity fund, here's a good litmus test. Ask them for the names and contact information of all their investors and see what they say. And you're like, oh, okay. In the deal with Oren, when I went in, it was everybody's connected. They all know each other. Mm-hmm. They all contact each other. They're in a group. They meet every week. They go to Italy to see the Breton factory where you invest in it. It's it's part of that process. And you can come into the fund right now, today, and not invest and not spend anything. There's no cost. You get to come in and play for a year and watch what's going on, learn as much as you can, and see deals, bring deals. We chop. I mean, if you've ever watched Oren Klaff chop together somebody who's pitching an idea, it's ruthless. I'm kind, he's not.
Mm-hmm.
And in the group, it's like, it's this private deal partners that we call it. And it's just like, you get to play.
Are you doing like elevator nights where you're letting people come in and pitch, or is this just strictly stuff you're sourcing?
No, we do. We let people come and pitch. This is a little bit of we're not, it's not going to turn into a WhatsApp group where everybody's just loading shit in there.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day,
I think I'm a member of like 3 of those.
Yeah. And listen, I'm relatively good at this process. I mean, Oren Klaff,
the best,
is a legend. Like, I will tell you how the pitch should go, but he will tell you financially and deal structure and pro formas where all the holes are, right? And so we do a lot of that, but really we're sourcing, like, we don't, right at the moment, we don't have a new deal.
Yeah.
Like, finding good, great deals with 3 to 4 really high cards in your poker hand that need one more card is hard to do, because that's what we want.
One thing to go right.
We want to provide one thing. Usually it's the story or the capital or something like that, but it's got to have everything else. And the truth is, in the world today, if you think you can get 100x on your money, you're nuts.
What's the one thing that's a great way to look at it. Any deal. What's the one thing we bring to the table that completes this?
That's right. And we are boring businesses, functional, real businesses, not fancy. Nobody's funding and building flying cars. There are 50 companies trying to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know which one's going to work. We're talking core businesses that you can, double, triple revenue. You can make better decisions on process. You can get in and out in, 18 months, 3 years, 4x your money. It is the classic investment banking, private equity structure. This is nothing new. It's just when you do it on this side from scratch and you become the banker instead of the player, it's like, that's why JP Morgan they don't sell their deals to Chase. You know what I mean? Like, they don't sell deals to each other. Dude, why is that? Because they package the deals and sell them to you. You are the profit. They're getting out.
Dude, I'm with you. I went from flipping luxury homes where we would have exposure of, 15, 20 million out, like trying to then, turn a profit on these houses, which you hit home runs on some of the bigger ones, but you can get behind the 8 ball and take a 7-figure loss on one house if you do it wrong. To now, all I do is buy notes. I'm buying 60-day coupon from a buddy of mine who owns a big fix and flip lender in Texas. I'm buying 60-day coupon, 12% interest with 1% discount, and my money goes out and comes back in 60 days and just churns.
And that's like,
you're the bank.
That's the game of money.
You're the bank.
That's the game of money. That's not the game of chance. That's the game of money.
If they want to find you, how do they find you, Brant?
BrantPinvidic.com. It's pretty easy to get me there.
Okay.
All my connections to the game money, all that stuff's there. So that's a pretty easy one. Well, brother, and at Brant Pinvidic, you can follow me on social. Whatever.
Love it. Well, brother, I appreciate you coming in.
Dude, of course.
Listen, if you took nothing away from today's conversation, I want you to take this away, which is wealth can mean a lot of things to a lot of people, but I just don't understand how time with your family and time well spent giving back to others cannot be the number one thing over dollars. Chase legacy. Don't just chase a check. We'll see you next week. What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us for another episode of Escaping the Drift. Hope you got a bunch out of it, or at least as much as I did out of it. Anyway, if you want to learn more about the show, you can always go over to escapingthedrift.com. You can join our mailing list. But do me a favor, if you wouldn't mind, throw up that 5-star review, give us a share, do something, man. We're here for you. Hopefully you'll be here for us. But anyway, in the meantime, we will see you at the next episode.